Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's regular meeting of the Corporation of the Township of North Dundas. At the council chambers, moved by Councillor Annable, second by Councillor Lennox, at the meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of North Dundas be hereby called to order at 4:03 p.m. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Moved by Councillor Annable, second by Councillor Lennox, that the agenda be adopted as presented. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. And at this moment, we will ask Mr. Pohl to come ahead. Moved by Councillor Annable, second by Councillor Lennox, that council hereby authorize the mayor and CAO to execute a fifth lease extension and amending agreement with His Majesty the King in the Right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Government and Consumer Services tenant and the Township of North Dundas landlord for space located at 547 St. Lawrence Street in Winchester. Mr. Pohl.
Thank you, Mayor Fraser, members of council. So this is an OPP lease extension. We've had a lease with them for a number of years now. We've negotiated an extension to the existing agreement. It was negotiated by Ben and followed up with Angela. This is to close off that agreement and get it signed now before the year end. So basically this is the space below our old office space where we used to be at 547 St. Lawrence Street, where they currently occupy.
Thank you. Questions, comments from members of council? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you, Mr. Pohl. How do I say that? Madam HR? It doesn't seem right. Ms. Froats, if you could please. And you're right, it's the first time we've called you up, so I'm still trying to get used to that idea. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, second by Councillor Uhrig, that council approves the job description for the Chief Administrative Officer, CAO, for the Township of North Dundas. Ms. Froats.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In front of you is the job description for the CAO. So we haven't had one here in a long time. So what I did with the assistance of Kristen from the counties, who I was very thankful for, her expertise, we did contact other CAOs for their postings, and we kind of compiled the best of all of them for a well-rounded, comprehensive profile. One of the highlights of the job description emphasizes a lot on leadership qualities. So I believe that that'll be a crucial asset for us moving forward in the role. One thing I will note in the job description itself is the salary that's mentioned is in reflection to 2024. So after checking with our finance department, those figures are subject to change in about mid-January. So when I do post it, it will say the salary, but potentially also under review. Not much to mention more about our job description. Unless there are any comments or questions, I'm welcome.
Thank you. Questions, comments, and I do want to thank Kristen Summers from the county's HR for being here, the manager of HR at the counties. She, as was mentioned by Ms. Froats, very, very key, helpful in getting through this process. And she took time out of her day to be here in case there were questions that she felt that she could answer as well. But seeing there's none, thank you, Councillor Lennox.
Sorry, Kristen, I'm going to call you up. Yeah, I don't want your drive to be here for nothing, so I'm going to ask you what's involved with this process and just give us an idea of timeline.
Okay, so the process would begin with the job posting itself. We're hoping, if everything gets approved this evening, that the posting could be put out to all the different job boards and through social media before the end of this week, if that, of course, aligns with tonight's timeline. Outside of that, there is a 5-step process that we would undergo: preliminary screening, interviews at different stages, including different individuals on the panel. And then ultimately, Hopefully, we can reach a point where we are providing a job offer, negotiating through that offer, hopefully relatively quickly, including notice to the CAO's employer, allowing for approximately a month. That would bring us to end of March, March 31st. So that's an ideal timeline. Of course, we can't predict what the process would actually entail and what the needs of that individual may be. But if they are relatively local and they agree to those terms, then we are anticipating a March 31st start for the position. It happens to be a Monday, so that would be ideal.
Thank you, Councillor. Anything further? Thank you. So, to the first resolution, which will refer to the job description, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. And I do believe you're going to speak to the recruitment process now, ma'am?
Kristen had just touched on it. The recruitment process was second in there. It was compiled for transparency and confidence in the selection process. So the recruitment process for the CAO was designed around 5 phases. That way, the approach reflects our commitment to be thorough, fair, and align with your expectations as well as a council. So the recruitment package that was provided kind of gives a blanket overview of the 5 phases, giving a bit of an understanding of the criteria that Kristen or the panel itself will be using. Aside from that, any specific questions, again, Kristen is here. She has just recently gone through this with a panel as well, so her expertise on this was very much appreciated, and I have full trust in her that the process will be just as seamless here.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Urick.
It's a comment more than a question. I just appreciate kind of drawing this out the way we can. I think it's important to strike a balance in terms of candidates identified and then, you know, taking our time with this. It's a leadership that is missing and is needed, but I think it's one that we need to, you know, hit on the target the first time and not go down the route of maybe identifying the wrong person and then finding that out after the fact. So I think to stretch it out and take our time is ideal. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I'll read the question. Moved by Councillor Urick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, that Council approves the recruitment process for the hiring of the Chief Administrative Officer, CAO, for the Township of North Dundas as presented. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to key information. Mr. CAO.
Thank you once again. So we have the benefit of an architect on our staff, which is helpful when we're looking at office renovations and work, also being our CBO, which is an excellent asset to have. Preston's gone through a few ideas with myself too of some office renovations that we might be able to work with and within, trying to do the most cost-effective and economical renovation work to house some of the employees, which are starting to be stacked on top of each other in some areas of the office. So we'd like to expand that out and actually create office space for Kristen, who currently is in a small cubicle and needs some privacy as far as that goes with the issues that she deals with. I'll maybe have Preston go through some of the highlights of what we're proposing. Some are quick fixes and some are more long-term options for council to consider. We just wanted to put on the table so you're aware of some of the things we're looking at.
Okay, so the key information report has kind of 4 options. Can you hear that? Okay. 4 options are laid out. Each one of the options goes into a little bit more detail. We're looking at things like the scope, the cost estimate, some of the benefits, and then some of the challenges and considerations for each option. I won't go through them all here, but at a high level, they kind of work from option 1 is the kind of what I like to call the easy win, the things that can be implemented relatively quickly with minimal disruption to both staff and the public. That one includes a little bit of a reconfiguration of the development services front desk. I don't know if anybody's been in that lobby space, but it's, if I can be blunt, is pretty awful for a customer experience. It's really echoey. It's hard to you're always leaning in trying to hear. So we're really trying to revamp that space to make that experience better. And then the second piece to the option one is having HR relocate to the back of the council chambers. You can kind of see in the back now, there's kind of unused space back there. So that one would look at making an HR office on the window side and then relocation of the existing mayor's office to this back space here. That's kind of an easy win. Opens up some more space inside the office area, and then kind of look at that front entrance. Option two, kind of more of a comprehensive expansion. We're looking at reconfiguring internal partitions and just trying to rework some of the workstations, bring in some more natural light, better lighting, things like that. Look at the front lobby as well. That's part of it, and the HR space in the council chamber as well. Option three looks at a kind of a larger scope, more of a longer term consideration, and that's actually the relocation of the front entrance to the entrance that folks come in for the council meetings. So instead of the public going to that kind of rounded area off in the corner, they would come here. And this would be relocation of the administrative staff and the customer service staff to this area and kind of open that up. It's a bigger consideration. There's more to it, more involvement, probably a lot more cost as well. But this would, I think, would be beneficial for the public, especially because a lot of people, when we sit in these outer offices, we see them kind of come here first. From the road perspective, it looks like the main entrance, so it's kind of a natural fit. That's kind of option three. And then the final option is an even longer term type of option, and that's having council relocate out of this building entirely into another municipal facility. This does two things. It opens up this council chamber for longer term staff management and planning. It allows us the flexibility to expand or as needed as the service levels change. And it allows us to also tap into some underutilized municipal facilities that maybe, if we could partner up with council as a council chamber, you could kind of bolster their kind of visibility to the public as well. So those are the four options. They're kind of laid out there in front of you. If you have any questions about any of them, feel free to stop by my office anytime, or you can ask them here as well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Preston. Questions, comments, thoughts? Councillor Anvil.
Are you able to give any timeline as to 1, 2, 3, 4, their lifespan of that specific plan? Like, is it, you think, good for 5 years or good for 10?
Yeah, so they all can, it's hard to give a specific timeline. I would say they are laid out as like going from option 1 to option 4. Each one is a shorter timeline. So option 1 is something that we can do quickly, but won't address any kind of future thing. So this is like
That's a waste of time.
yeah, it's kind of like a 1, 2, 3 year kind of window. Option 2 would be pretty comprehensive as well. You're looking at a 5 to 10 year range. Option 3 and 4 is much longer.
Thank you. Councillor Urick.
I'd say based on the current activity in here, option 1 makes the most sense in this moment. I mean, it's anybody who walks through the corridor in there can tell that we're kind of on top of one another in here. Just for, I don't know, lack of foresight at a time and just throw up partitions and cram people places. I don't really know. Lack of planning, lack of foresight, just the way it happened naturally, I don't know. From an optics perspective, however, as I sit on this side of the table, I have to think that we have, as much as I would like staff to be satisfied within the workspace that they operate in, we have much larger hurdles than aesthetically pleasing our municipal facility. And I feel like the general population would probably agree with that. So while options 2 through 4 are nice to know about and nice to see, and I do appreciate, I'm not discounting your effort here and discounting the information shared. Those are things, you know, to keep in mind, I think, going forward, not things to target immediately. I do believe option 1 perhaps is our most natural course right now to give Kirsten the space she requires to operate and to conduct the business she conducts on the HR side of things. And if moving the mayor's office back here is an option that opens up space on that side, then so be it. From a cost perspective, I think that, as you note, and I would agree, has got to be relatively low and an easy thing for us to handle. But I do think, priority-wise, we have other things we need to be bringing up versus modernizing our space overall in this regard.
Thank you for your thoughts. Councillor Lennox?
I agree with Councillor Urick here, where we have bigger priorities. With option one, it gives HR coordinator the privacy she requires when dealing with delicate matters, and as well as the mayor sit down and have some deep conversations without the planning department hearing word for word what's going on. For option 2 and 3, I would like to see a drawing from said architect of their vision before weighing in on if that's even a possibility down the road.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. You haven't put any figures in here. Like, did you have any ballpark figures so that we compare option 1 to option 2, for instance?
Not at this time. The work that would be required to actually get into the cost estimates, even as a ballpark figure, is a bit of a longer thing. We're just kind of, this key information is to gauge kind of the interest to see, what direction you'd like to see us pursue. We can certainly do that as a next step. We have acquired a cost estimate for one particular element, and that's for the front entranceway. We're in the process of getting 3 quotes for that, just to give us a ballpark, but that was in the range of a $10,000 cost estimate for that work.
All right.
And just for council's benefit, and whoever else is paying attention, Press and I did have a chance, and we walked it out and paced it out. We're in here and thinking ideally about HR's need for to be in a space that allows people to approach HR without, walking the gauntlet of to get to the HR office. And to my space, those that have, we've all been in it, I think when Press and I were talking, I'm not sure if it's part of the step 1 or the plan option 1, but if you change where the doors are located on that, they end up on the planning side, and you close the doors on the hallway side, and then you get 2 offices, and I don't know if it's going to work, but I kind of like to see consideration about the copier room becoming a third space, if we could just modernize or make better use of space elsewhere and move the copier and such into a spot, and there could be three offices created with minimal costs, I would think, because it'd just be closing up a wall and opening up the other side with doors. And so I think I do look forward to option 1 being considered, because I think that's the fastest way to allow privacy and workspaces to be undisturbed. So, if there's nothing else to that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Urick, that bylaw number 2024-84 to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed this 18th day of December 2024. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Moved by Councillor Urick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, that council adjourn at 4:21 p.m. to the call of the chair. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. So that concludes the regular meeting. And we're going to slide right into the budget meeting. And Ms. Summers?